Find something. Is the sound too loud? Is the sound too loud? Also, hi RK, hi doll. RK, hi doll. Also, RK, your Instagram game is on. I love your Instagram. It's all right, not too loud. Okay, great. Good, good, good. All right. Joyous time zones, my Sakonauts. I'm Sako Tumi, also known as the Witch of Tylwyth Teg. And today we are talking about the Sorcerer's Toybox in Condensed Chaos by Phil Hine. Oh, I guess this thing is still on, huh? Yeah, there we go. Only the past couple of days? I don't know, like it goes back pretty far. Unless you're posting like 3 pictures a day or some wacky thing like that. Long captions and active shots. Yep. Feeling more energized with yoga. That's awesome. Hello, Spence. And yes, doll, you should check out his Instagram. There's also a nice shot of the gray and gold logo that I think deserves attention. Ooh. All right, that's the end of my 3rd cup. How's my gateway meditation going? The guy that I was going through, I think he got a cease and desist because as I was listening to stuff, like videos were getting taken down. So I gotta find a new source. But I do intend on getting back into it. I might do that today, actually. I might do that today. Yeah. I think I have to actually go through the Monroe Institute for like the first 3. And I'm okay working with the first 3 like over and over and over again. That's fine. Because each time I'm going to have a different like experience with them. But I was really climbing up there. So maybe I'll go through the site and actually buying the meditations in MP3 format. It was going, I made it to focus 12 Like, I was ready to start Focus 12, and then the video disappeared. Felt myself climbing with the first one, and my body literally spasmed like it didn't want to go. Yeah. Yeah, no kidding. It's powerful stuff, isn't it? Good morning, Raven. So good to see you. For those who are unaware, the Gateway Experience is a 1981 astral projection project that the CIA recently declassified. And it's a solid grip on astral projection and visualization and meditation. So if you have a hard time meditating, I strongly recommend the Gateway Experience. You can probably just find it on YouTube. I know the Monroe Institute YouTube actually has them on it. You need to read that? Read what? Because the Gateway Experience is an audio meditation, is a guided meditation. Oh, the declassified stuff. Yeah, it's the Monroe Institute YouTube should have the first 3 episodes, first 3 lessons, first 3 meditations on their account. And those are the important ones. Those are the ones that teach you all the basics, that teach you how to meditate. And for those who already know how to meditate, like, it takes you on a journey. It's like a serious visualization deal. It is quite the experience. Normally, I would run you guys through a grounding ritual to start the day. Are you guys up for that? I've been not doing it the last couple of days, the last couple of streams. Maybe I should do it today. That is similar to what they base a lot of far-seeing sci-fi movies like Suspect Zero on, right? I think so. I don't know. I haven't seen Suspect Zero, so I don't know. I'll need some links later. Yeah, no problem. I can post them in the Discord. What's your favorite visualization meditations? The Underworld one. I found an Underworld journey that was really powerful for me. I'm still parsing that apart with my therapist. Then I had an Imbolc meditation that got me in touch with Bridget, the goddess. I know, right? Like, I think you really love these guided meditations. I'll send them, I'll track them down, because I need to track them down for me anyway, and I'll post them in the Discord so you can get at them too. Oh. And I'll probably do like a link sharing channel. probably a link sharing channel. Suspect 0 was about a former CIA operative who found his targets by remote identifications. He drew pictures of their faces and locations via essentially astral projection and turned his skills towards hunting serial killers when the project was discontinued. Yes. Absolutely. That is exactly. In fact, they talk about that a little bit in here too. You found another comp title? What's a comp title? Also, thanks, Raven. Yeah, because I think that would be something that Doll would also dig. Thirsty. Card. Self-care card today, right? I understand you guys are kind of lump-like today. So if you're already grounded, then we will move on. This meets that kind of thing. Oh, right on. That's awesome. Yeah. It's wicked awesome. Doll, because you donated yesterday, if you still want me to do a picture of your characters, your book characters, I'm game for it. Hey, welcome back. Been down the rabbit hole of YouTube videos the last few days. Yeah. Well, it's nice to see you again, Spence. We've been seeing more of your husband than we've been seeing you. Not that that's a bad thing. I mean, he's still a swell dude. That's afraid of death. Like, super afraid of death. Like, super afraid of death. I was talking about how I worked on my death plan. I need to, now that it's Sunday, I need to send my death plan to my husband. Actually, I need to make a note of that. Oh, Hulda. This sci-fi is way too crowded. Yeah, I like that he's making connections. I think he's a pretty hip cat. All right. Let's see what's up. Ooh, death. Talking about some death. Speaking of the devil. Or actually, speaking of death. He forgets how just easily likable he is behind how painfully shy. Yeah. He is super likable. There's got to be something to break the ice. Talk about death and it arrives to take center stage. Yeah, indeed. No, you're not going to die. That's just a common misconception of the death card. Death indicates an end of an aspect of your life, which can range from a job to a relationship. Death must occur in order for you to have a new beginning. shifting you forward into a transition period of rebirth and renewal. The cycle of death is quite natural and can be seen in nature transforming throughout the different seasons. Like nature, you are also going through a transformation that will be of great significance. Change is coming, sweeping the past to the side so that you can embrace opportunities of the future. Clear the clutter and let go of what is not serving you in order to make room for new life. When one door closes, another one opens. There is no life without death. Did something happen yesterday, doll? My interpretation, change by force. It's not necessarily a forceful change either. It's just a circumstance that is out of your control. Especially if you are doing like a 3-card reading or a 10-card reading, depending on the cards that are around the death card. I wouldn't say I changed yesterday. It does inspire me to inspire my sister to try and do the same, like once a month or so that she can do silly things like pay her mortgage. Because her VA claim was denied. So she's going to have to appeal, which is a pain in the ass. But that is the way of things. So she's going to have to make ends meet until then, and she's been struggling to make ends meet. So I'm trying to like inspire her to do something similar like I did yesterday. The Toybox. So there is some gatekeeping in the magical community regarding tools and pre-done spells and ingredients, but you don't need all of that stuff in order to do things, but correspondences can help. But you don't need correspondences. Like, they just, like, it's kind of like adding kerosene to an already burning fire. Just like the manifestation bitches. You know, the women who are like, oh, I manifested this life. Yeah, they're doing it without correspondences. They're just taking on the witchy mindset. Western approaches to magic have become, over the last century or so, thoroughly pervaded by Protestant work ethic. Magic is generally thought of as serious work-like pursuit. Indeed, magicians talk about rituals as being workings. The chaos approach stresses that fun and pleasure are important, yet often neglected dimensions of magic. Can magic be entertaining? Play and entertainment tend to be undervalued, yet they arguably They are arguably two of the most significant human experiences, and magic and play share common features. Both are defined in contrast to the everyday world. Both serve to draw the participant out from the ordinary world into the mythic, larger-than-life dimensions. Poor witches unite. I completely agree. They're thrifty witches, and witches that don't need tools. I think tools can often become a crutch. So sometimes it might be good to not use a tool just for shits and giggles. Like, just to get back to the basics and to get back to the original intent. Let's see, where did I leave off? Some aspects of the magic play perspective have been mentioned already, but play can give a useful perspective on sorcery. What is the difference between a child playing with a doll and an adult sorcerer enchanting over a wax image? The sorcerer may be concentrating hard upon the enchantment. He may know all about symbolism and theories which enable him to suspend belief and work with the waxen image as if it were his target. The child appears to be absorbed, serious, intent upon its play, but the chances are that the child finds it much easier to believe in the doll as being something other than which it is immediately apparent, and the magician can invest belief in the efficacy of his wax image. I tend to think of magic tools kind of the way Thor's hammer is posed in the MCU. It isn't the source of power, it's a way to focus it. Yes. Yes. Sort of. You can use them as foci, for sure, but I don't think of it that way very often. Magic has game-like aspects, yet it is rare we can approach it on the level of being in a game. It is a serious endeavor, yet it can be serious fun. With regard to sorcery technique, it is possible to use both a rigorous approach to structuring enchantments and a playful approach to actualizing them. It's as easy as a pie. A for assessment, P for plan, I for implementation, and E as an evaluation. Assessment. Stop. Don't do anything. Look at the situation and at all possibilities for action. Use techniques that will show you different angles or perspectives on the situation. Divination, dream oracles, asking your favorite deity, or visualizing various possible courses of action. Plan. Once you have chosen a course of action, plan what you need to do. What resources do you need? These may be magical, material, financial, or the assistance of others. Do you need more information? And if so, where is it going to come from? Implementation. Now, the hardest thing of all, to do it. Laziness and inertia may well intervene at this stage, which may often be the surface manifestations of fear of failure or success. Remember, each moment of success gives more momentum to the next attempt. Each barrier breached brings a rush of pleasure and expanded possibilities. And lastly, evaluation. We must be able to evaluate the results of our magics, to look back into the wake of your passing and be able to identify how one's will has brought about change. A key here is the ability to understand and integrate one's experiences in the light of one's magical work. The use of the magical diary is the most important in this respect, or the Book of Mirrors, Book of Shadows, whatever you want to call it, whatever you want to use it for. The evaluation of results of one's magics and of the techniques used is often difficult unless one is prepared to be scrupulously honest. It can sometimes become a balancing act between one's ideal manifestation of desire and what actually occurs. For example, I once performed a sigil enchantment for new sources of pleasure. Now I admit that underlying this intention was the hope of new sexual entanglements. Shortly after the ritual, a friend gave me some new computer game programs, which did indeed provide me with many hours of pleasure, so I was willing to count that sigil as a success. If, however, I had specified a desire to be fucked senseless, and then had computer games turn up, I would count that enchantment as a failure. There is no all-embracing explanation for failure, although people often resort to justifications such as karma, destiny, cosmic ties, or fate, or even the will of the gods in order to explain why it is that something hasn't happened in accordance with expectation. Oddly enough, there seems to be implicit suggestion that when enchantments are successful, it is a reflection of one's own magic ability, but when spells go awry, it was your karma not to have that happen. And I highlighted that quote. I'll say it again. Oddly enough, there seems to be the implicit suggestion that when enchantments are successful, it is a reflection of one's own magical ability. But when spells go awry, it was your karma not to have that happen. Thus, the preparation and core procedures which are implicit in an act of sorcery depend upon discipline, attention, and the awareness of consequences of any resultant transformation. This leaves us with the option of being fairly relaxed over the actual implementation of a sorcery technique, as a rummage through the contents of the Sorcerer's Toybox demonstrates. Inside the toy box. Plasticines. Plasticine gives endless possibilities as a magical tool. Here is an example of an enchantment with Silly Putty. Once you have statement of intent, roll the plasticine into strips and form the letters of your statement. After meditating upon the statement, mash the plasticine together and roll it into a ball again. Continue to shape and reshape the plasticine with your hands while also using hyperventilation and glossolalia. I don't know what glossolalia is. Glossolalia? I don't know. Sigils of intent can be gouged into the plasticine, shaped by rolling it, and then destroyed again. As you enter Gnosis, divide the plasticine into two halves. One half is you, the other your desire. At the climax of the ritual, mash them together. The same lump of plasticine can be kept and reused over and over again in the sorcery workings. You can add bits of your body into it if you like. Nails, hair, blood, etc. I guess my interpretation is that intent is energy put out into the universe, and trying to make specific change shifts the probability of the results you are looking for in your favor. Yes. However, the more unlikely the result you are looking for, the more resistant reality is going to be to your intent, to the point where you end up getting nothing for the effort. Or worse yet, get blowback trying to force the universe to bend too far towards your will. In my experience, it always happens. It's just it might happen in a way I didn't expect. For instance, we did my fellow Chaots and I did a ritual intention setting of unusual gifts from unusual places or people. And I got a gift this week from my friend Robert, who I did not expect to receive a gift from ever. He gifted me a guest pass for masterclass, which I have 3 days left, something like that. So that was awesome. Not what I was expecting, but I would call that intention a success. Yeah, yay. And apparently I can gift 3 guest passes. Is that a thing that I can possibly do? Bestow a guest pass on Doll and extend your guest passery. Candles. Oh, hey, Katerina. Great, I will send it to you. Just hook me up with an email. I think that's what it requires. Or I can send a link. Also have 3 passes available for my patrons now. Nice. Guest pass street. Tasty brain treats. Yeah. Absolutely. Anyway, so about candles. Using candles for casting spells is a popular approach to magic that has inspired many books on the subject. You can inscribe sigils, runes, and any other symbols on a candle and leave it to burn itself down while you go off and do something else. Making love by candlelight is magical in itself, and indeed, if you think far enough along these lines, you may come up with magical uses for candles which tend not to be mentioned in spellcasting books. I was listening to class right before this stream. Me too, actually. Now we're in my wheelhouse. Yeah, we are. Candle magic. Did that a couple of times. Cool. There's a lot that can be done with magic. Candles. With candles in general. Making candles magical is super easy. You can start burning the candle and then, or melt part of the candle and put in correspondences like whatever stones, whatever herbs, and then like I have Yankee candles which come in glass jars, so I can start burning it, throw in whatever stuff I want to throw in, and then I can see about carving, once it cools, I can see about carving something into the top. But with all the stuff in it, it doesn't behoove me to do so. I carved the word protection in my black candle and it worked. Awesome. That sounds like it would. String. There is much that can be done with a piece of string. As a note, rope and string magic is really simple and really powerful. Super effective. Super effective. Enchantment using knots is well known within modern witchcraft revivals, as is the use of string to create webs, labyrinths, cat's cradles, and other complicated tangles, which have spells whispered into them, or have become the focus for enchantments. Braided pieces of hair can also be used as power tools. Particularly if the hair was sacrificed to assist in a particular goal. For example, cutting one's hair to improve job prospects. The hair of dead relatives or associates can be easily imbued with mythic power. Oh, I dropped some lavender leaves on top of that protection candle, and I haven't had major issues with that particular person in a while. Excellent. Bad example of manifestation. I needed 4 safety pins for today, but only had 3. Pulled the dress out of the closet that I needed for the last 2 and found an extra one already in it. Yep. With the votives I use, I carved my sigils in the side of the candle before placing it in the holder. Right on. Most of my candles come in jars. So... Givens. This term denotes anything that you have been given, which does not have any immediate purpose, yet is significant due to the circumstances in which you received it, or the associations which you attach to it. It becomes magical due to it being a gift, the sort of thing which you might never formally imbue with magical power, yet which ends up in the Toybox Power Bundle altar anyway. I need to quit their server. I still had it running from yesterday. Do you have a magical object that you gained that has sentimentality, that has, but this was a present, this was a gift, that you keep on, that you hold sacred? I wonder why rope and string magic are so powerful. Because of all the intent. And the more knots you put into it, the more intent there is. And I can look up the... did I ever write it down? I don't know that I did. Oh, nope, I did write it down. 64. Context. I am a lazy and untalented seamstress, so the closings on my clothes give out frequently, and I just kind of say, F it, safety pin time. Yep. So knots, which go in string, yarn, rope, whatever. By knot of 1 the spell's begun, by knot of 2 it cometh true, by knot of 3 so mote it be, by knot of 4 this power is store, by knot of 5 the spell's alive, by knot of 6 this spell I fix, by knot of 7 events I'll leaven, by knot of 8 it will be fate, by knot of 9 what's done is mine. It might be hard to read. That's an easy, really easy spell, but so full of intent and so full of it's a meditative action, just to tie knots over and over and over again. Found objects. A bunch of the things on my altar were gifts. A heron feather, a crow feather, the miniature Argonath, which were intended as bookends. Both my raven and wolf statues. That's awesome. So most of your altar is full of sacred stuff, right? There's intention that goes into the making of rope and string too. Yes, absolutely. But yeah, those things. Found objects. Found objects are similar to the above, but tend to be things that you pick up for no very good reason, and then find yourself loath to throw away. Eventually, you will find a use for them. Years ago, I found a part of an old telephone handset. I carried it around for months and eventually found myself listening to it at odd moments. At first, this was just a playful form of weirding out whoever I was sitting next to. By and by, I found that by make-believing that I was listening to a particular friend using the phone, she would invariably turn up 5 minutes later of chatting to her. Of course, the more I tried to deliberately use the phone to call her, the less likely she was to appear. Other examples of found objects include bits of animals, odd shards of circuitry, things which are probably pieces of something bigger. I use these items for a bone casting set. I throw bones, which means I throw a bunch of junk. Bones among them, sure, but I throw a bunch of junk onto a piece of leather that has a circle and a cross. And each little item means something. And I divine via bones. But that is something I need to exercise more of. Okay, the last one wasn't specifically intended for my altar, but it does sit on my altar when it's not a cleansing day. Right on. Oh, here we go. There's about an even amount of stuff I bought specifically for my altar, though. My votive holder, the keepsake box with the sword carved on its lid, my divination tools, my flanged mace. But the mace, okay. Hi, Allie. Lovely to see you, darling. We're talking about the Sorcerer's Toybox today. Crystals, which is a really popular subject in magic. It's crystals. All them basic bitches. Crystals have been much hyped as items of almost universal magic application, depending on what you read. Crystals have curative powers, can be used for safe sex, buried in the earth as gifts to Mommy Gaia, used in conjunction with ley lines to contact dolphins. And their misuse has even been claimed as a deciding factor in the fall of the Atlantean Empire. Dr. John Dee, for example, used a ball of obsidian crystal in his magical experiments. Crystals have also from ancient times been used as talismans, and any good book on crystals will provide you with a list of symbolic attributions for the crystals. One magical use of crystals, which has been ignored by New Agers, is the use of crystals as spirit traps. Again, this is very traditional use, there being many tales of entities being lured into crystals and other types of receptacles. It is certainly possible to trap an entity in a crystal, and you can also designate a crystal as a home for an entity. They can be used as personal power objects, and if nothing else, they look pretty on the altar. Crystals on the fireplace, that's cool. What kind of protection you use during sex? I use like anti-sperm stuff, like, you know, condoms and spermicide and stuff like that. Also crystal. Yes. Dominoes and dice. Dominoes and dice have obvious association with games. There are also divination techniques using them, like throwing bones. I hit enter too soon. I get it. Wood. Pieces of wood can be useful at times. A lollipop stick, for example, with runes or sigils added, can be used to make a nondescript talisman. The act of hammering a nail into a piece of wood can become the physical component of an act of enchantment. Crayons and chalk. I cannot stress this enough. Body paint, chalk, crayons. Chalk is the unsung magical tool of traditional magical approaches, which called for circles, triangles, and complicated names to be laid down upon floors. Crayons obviously can be used in creating pictures, yantras, etc. What kind of protection during sex do you use? Crystal. Crystals? Crystals. You got 5 kids, huh? I know, right? Pendulums. A pendulum can come in handy occasionally, especially for finding lost or hidden objects. On at least 2 occasions, I have turned up at friends' houses to find them methodically turning the place upside down in search of some small but apparently item. That's a weird sentence. A calm scan around the room with a pendulum turned up the lost item in unexpected places. You can also use pendulums to douse a map or to answer simple yes-no questions. It is often useful to be able to perform acts of divination without using complex systems such as runes or tarot cards, or even tea leaves, which tend to be scorned by magicians as unworthy of contemplation, can have their uses. Meow! Meow! Pabu! Hi, baby! Hold on, I need to love my cat. Come here, baby. Oh. No? You don't wanna? You don't wanna? No? None of this, huh? Agitated? Super agitated? Okay, go on. Alright. Yeah, kitty. Balloons. The act of blowing into a balloon can be used to project a magical intent. Alternatively, you could cast a sigil by attaching it to a balloon filled with helium and launching it into the atmosphere. Oh. Bursting a balloon can be used to climax a ritual, and of course, you could use balloons in accordance with color correspondences. The truly adept could even form them into shapes to represent fetishes or animals. Hi, Jenny! Super missed you. Super awesome to see you. Aw, Mom, I just wanted to cathartically yell for a while. Oh, yell for a while, yeah. Yo, Tani! Proctoring this morning, but dropped in to give a like. Thank you. It's lovely to see you. Figures. Several years ago, I had around my house a ceramic pixie figure, a souvenir from a holiday. One day, I decided that I would give this pixie the ability to find things that were lost around the house. A servitor, basically. Whenever I mislaid something, I would go ask the pixie where it was, and then keep looking. After I found the lost item, I would go and thank the pixie and sometimes put a silver coin under its base. Over time, this routine worked very well, and I persuaded other members of the household to go ask the pixie where they had mislaid household objects, and when they had found what they were looking for, to go and thank him. This is a very basic approach to magical evocation, and I have found over the years that the most effective way to feed a spirit is to attribute any successes which relate to its sphere of operation to its action and to develop a relationship with it. Aww. Heart. I hate stumbling blindly into animal abuse videos. Ooh, babe. You'd think a fucking canine unit would have more sense than to abuse their canine officers. That's fucking terrible. What if you don't find it? Then you don't succeed and you don't thank the pixie. Essentially. But invariably, he eventually found his objects. Magical weapons. Which I'd love to hear your 2 cents on this, Raven. The above are just a few of the possibilities for using everyday objects in sorcery practice. In addition, there are more formal weapons of modern magic, being the dagger, the wand, the chalice, the pentacle, and the lamp. It is possible to discourse at length on the symbolism which has grown up around each of these items, but I'm not going to, as you don't need to have digested heaps of symbolism to make effective use of them. Stupid pixie, find it for me! I wouldn't call the servitor stupid, but that's just me. I don't treat my servitors badly. I don't believe in treating my servitors badly. There are chaos magicians who do that. Absolutely. They like to bully demons and bully servitors and all of that jazz, and that's not my bag. I'm a little more benevolent than that. The wand or staff is a physical representation of the act of projecting one's will forth, intentionally directed along a given vector. The key to understanding the magical will is in the concept of unity of desire. Whereas the swearing of oaths, promises, and ostentations serves only to set up conflicts within the mind. The magician seeks unity of desire before he acts, hence the importance of preparation in acts of sorcery. The wand also represents the initial drive to begin a project. Pretty much anything can be imbued with magical intent. Agreed. Applying it to something that's explicitly mundane weapon suggests one of 2 things, at least to me. Hi, doll. What are the 2 things, Raven? Because we're going to get into alphames. My alphame is a pair of scissors, pair of fancy scissors. A focus to apply discipline to the effort at hand. Or creating a weapon with explicit effect towards magical forces. Yes, also that. Definitely. The dagger is often used in ritual magic as an extension of one's finger. It is used to draw sigils, pentagrams, and other magical symbols in the air. I use it to cut open portals. When astral projecting, I use a pair of scissors in my my domain, my astral temple, as he calls it. And I use scissors to open new portals. I can also use them as a stabby weapon if I need to. Which I have actually needed to do that before. I've also had to use my wand. And let me tell you, with a wand, you can use anything the fuck you want. If you went to Harry Potter World and you went to, Oleander, the guy who makes the wands, and you buy a wand, you can use that too. I use the wand that I use is, I have wooden ones that I'm working on, but honestly, the one that I bought at Harry Potter World works just fine. So, if anything, it's also sentimental because Harry Potter World, right? So, the Chalice. Oh, wait, I wasn't done yet. The dagger. We're still talking about the dagger. To the dagger is attributed the qualities of analysis and discrimination. Any magical dagger is thus only as effective as your own skill at analysis and discrimination, whether this is applied to yourself or a situation, hence the importance of planning and breaking down a goal into its constituent steps and elements. My Heron Mark sword is a combination of the two. It's a focus for my discipline and intentionally imbued it towards shattering bindings and shadow forces. Amazing! I would go out, get a branch from a specific tree, and shape it into a wand. I did that. I have I have a wooden spoon that I intend on imbuing and inscribing cool stuff and whatnot. And then applying in my kitchen. And then encourage my husband to use it to mix his iced tea. Although I haven't used it for either in some time, so it probably needs a refresher. Probably. Lately, I've been focusing more on my mace. If the mace is working for you more than the sword these days, so be it. It's fine. You might end up going back to the sword at some point if the situation calls for it all the more. But honestly, if the mace is doing the job, then use the mace. If you feel more comfortable using the mace as a focus, then why fix something that's not broken, right? Okay, now the chalice. The chalice is used as a physical receptacle of transmission. Thus, it may be used in ritual to hold wine or other fluid, which it is first charged via an act of invocation and then consumed by the celebrants, or it can be used for scrying. Thus, to the chalice is attributed all techniques whereby perception is unhindered by the internal dialogue or by lust for a result, such as oracular states of consciousness, the use of tarot, dreaming, or mental silence. I have 2 chalices. 3, technically. One is lead pewter, so I tend not to use that too often. I'm at time. I kind of want to finish this section before we wrap up. I liked the wands, and so you want to be a wizard. One was heartwood, actually gifted from the tree in question. Yes. The other was actually a cast-off car antenna. Awesome. And both had wildly different effects. and were idiosyncratic to their wielder. Yeah. Both things would certainly have their uses. The Pentacle. The Pentacle represents the process of synthesis and is the object whereupon the results of one's magical work are made manifest and understood. In rituals, objects which are to be charged with magical power would be placed upon the Pentacle. A wooden wand was largely harmless, wielded by a nature-bent wizard. The antenna almost explicitly a weapon carried by a wizard more geared towards mechanics. Yep, just a little bit. Finally, the lamp is the physical representation of inspiration. It often appears in the form of a light bulb over the head of a cartoon character. In traditional Western magic, the idea of Godhead or the holy guardian angel are two aspects of the lamp weapon, although it could just as easily be a primitive fetish object or a symbol which, over time, one comes to associate with gnosis and inspiration. It is important to remember that the development of the requisite qualities are more useful than the physical shells which serve to encapsule them. I'll say that again. It is important to remember that the development of the requisite qualities are more useful than the physical shells which serve to encapsule them. So you don't need this stuff. It's more important to have the qualities that these symbols are for. There is an old adage that magical weapons should either be made by their user, given to them, or at least found in unusual ways. Equally, the act of saving money so that you can buy an item of occult equipment, especially if you have made some kind of sacrifice, such as walking to work, will also confer the associations of specialness upon it. While it can be useful to have physical weapons for use in ritual, it is also instructive to understand that their operation in other spheres. For example, my desire to write and the decision to write about sorcery is the operation of the wand. The use of language to order and analyze my thoughts, the act of writing itself is the dagger. The computer screen upon which my words appear to me, prompting new ideas and associations even as I write, is the chalice, and the resulting printout, which manifests the whole, is the pentacle. The lamp in this case is any form of illuminary technique which I use to aid the free flow of creativity. I have a tattoo of Pentacle with a melting candle on my shoulder. Yes, you do. It is a reminder of my internal power and beliefs, if that makes sense. Absolutely. Makes perfect sense. It is a symbol that the power comes from you, not the tools that you use. Right? That is the impression that I get. Like any game, sorcery relies more on qualities and skill of the player rather than the physical surroundings or the equipment being used. Similarly, both games and magic have an absurd quality about them. You may find it incredible that other people seem to invest so much importance in the outcome of a football game, yet have no problem yourself believing that the scratching planetary symbols on your candle will bring about a change in the world. Alternatively, you might vociferously champion your own team and wonder what the fuss is about when batty occultists argue over who has the authentic magical tradition. But both sorcery and games require practice, suspension of belief, and gnosis, that cessation of the internal dialogue which may last from a few seconds to several hours. Oh my God, several hours of gnosis. Jesus Christ. I can't even fathom. We will talk about responsive sorcery tomorrow. Love and getting laid. healing, cursing, twin glamours, wealth and fame, self-love, the empty-handed gesture. We will talk about responsive sorcery tomorrow. If you liked this video at any point, I encourage you to hit the like button. If you would like to talk about responsive sorcery tomorrow, then I advise that you hit the subscribe button and ring the bell onto personalized so that it actually notifies you when I go live, and I will catch you guys on the flip side.